Hi, I'm the Grow Boss.
And I'm Chuck.
And this video is about RO machines. We're going to show you why they're so important, how they remove the ppm from the water, and why that's so important to your plants. Then, we're going to do a fun little competition at the end where we compare my Ultimate RO to the leading two competitors. And I'm going to show you just how much better mine is for less money at the end of the video. So stay tuned. So let's start with a quick explanation. Chuck?
For you new indoor gardeners, this could be real confusing. So let's start off with your standard two-stage filter. It's just going to remove chlorine and rock only. Now to remove and it's not going to affect your ppms. And to do that, we need a bigger filter right here.
All right, so this is a reverse osmosis machine. It takes out the sediment, it takes out the chlorine, and then this membrane on top separates out the salt. That's the ppm. That's the actual what the plant's going to take up, the nutrients. It's all the same thing. And so you have to be careful because every bit of ppm that's in your water, your tap water, is pretty much poison. You don't know what's in it, so until you remove it, you're just feeding that poison to your plant. So Chuck, why don't you go ahead and show us what our tap water's at, and let me give you an example of what we're talking about.
Exactly. Okay, now it's time to test the tap water and see what our parts per million level is. Parts per million is about 550.
Wow, 550 ppm, and you know all of that's poison salt. None of it's good for the plant. Now, let's try some bottled water, and that's something like 20 ppm. Look at that. We went from 550 ppm at the tap down to 20.
Now you saw our tap water, how much poison was in there, well over 500 parts per million. And if you're adding nutrients on top of that tap water without using a parts per million meter, you're just adding more salt on top of that. And that is extra poison for your plants. So you need to be using a parts per million meter and an RO system. So let's talk about parts per million.
So let's talk about ppm and nutrients, because they're essentially the same thing. You add more nutrients, your ppm goes up. And I know that nutrient manufacturers desperately want you to believe that yield is based on nutrients and not light. But when you look at this photosynthesis equation, you can see clearly plants use light for energy, and nowhere in this equation does nutrients exist. Now, before your head blows up, I'm not saying nutrients aren't important. I'm just saying yield is based on light, and nutrients merely support that level of growth. Think about nutrients like food calories. You're not going to make it a day with just that cheeseburger on the left. You need a meal deal. Well, the same thing with plants. You're not going to feed little plants like these, like it's a big plant like this. Because if you did, 6 weeks from now, when they're this big, what would you feed them then? And remind me again, if it's not about the light, why did you buy the hottest, most expensive piece of electricity-consuming thing you own and put it over your plants and then pay to cool it? Why did you do that again if it's not about the light? Which is exactly why you need an Ultimate RO. Because unless you pull everything out of the water first, you don't know what you're giving your plants next, right? Think about it like this. If you've got a small plant that wants 250 ppm and your tap water is a disaster, like Vegas tap water, and comes out at 500, and then you add another 250 ppm of nutrients on it, your little plant that wanted 250 ppm is now getting 3 times that at 750. And the next time you water, there'll still be 500 ppm left in the media. You'll be at 1250 next time you feed, and nutrients quickly build up. That's why you gotta know what's in your water. That's why the #1 problem that calls my helpline is too many nutrients. And that's also why you need an Ultimate RO, because nothing produces more clean water for less wastewater for less money than my Ultimate RO. Now Chuck's going to show you how to install it.
Okay, now we're ready to install your RO system. First thing we need to do is remove the faucet screen so we can put our adapter on there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This adapter will adapt we can put this fitting on here for the intake for your RO system. Of course, you need to tighten this all the way down with a wrench. So I'll go ahead and put that up. There we go. Put my adapter on. Screw that on nice and tight. Now I need to find my supply line, which is going to be your white line now. We're going to go ahead and hook up your supply line, push it up in until it's tight and locked, pull back down, it is tight, ready to go. Now we're going to take our black wastewater line. Now this is the bad water. Now we need to run it down the drain. We're going to go ahead and push it down the drain right here. There's all our wastewater going down the drain. Now we've got my fresh water, which is my good water. I'm going to go ahead and install it into the float right here on the bucket. So I'm going to catch my good water for my garden. I install it, it is locked in nice and tight because we don't want any leaks. Now for if you had bought the alkalizer, you go ahead and take the alkalizer, find the flow, there's an arrow flow on here. You're going to install it on your fresh water line before it hits your reservoir where your good water is. Go ahead and cut the line. Of course, you're just going to go ahead and snap it into the inserts, nice and locked in. Do the same with the other side. Lock it in. It is all locked in nice and tight, and now your RO system is ready to go. But before, you need to turn your RO system on and make sure the water has no leaks anywhere in your system. Go ahead and run it for like 5 minutes, and then you'll be sure that everything is nice and tight.
And now, let's see which RO produces the most clean water for the least wastewater.
I'm the Grow Boss,
And I'm Chuck,
and this is the Great Water Race. All right, here are the rules of the race. Each machine is going to produce 1 gallon of wastewater, and we're going to compare how much clean water they make. Now, I did 30 seconds worth of research and came up with these two machines, not mine and not mine too. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to run each machine one at a time. We're going to time how long it takes. Then we're going to compare the ppm, the pH, and the quantity of clean water produced. All right, this is the Not Mine RO, and Chuck is going to put some red food coloring into each of these containers, so we always know how much water, we always know that this water belongs to this machine. Chuck. Here's the wastewater, Chuck. You grab the clean water. All right, let's hang it over the edge. All right, both of these are flowing. Ready, go. All right, so we're going to know in pretty quick here just how much water it makes and just how fast. All right, here's an interesting fact. You know that you have to return 75% of the water you take from the city. So if you've got an RO machine that makes 100 gallons, you have to return 75 gallons of those back to the city, or they charge you for it.
That could get costly.
Okay, Not Mine number 1 created 3 liters of waste to 1.5 liters of clean water in 3 minutes 45 seconds, earning itself a wastewater ratio of 2 to 1. Not bad.
This is another one of my competitors' RO machines. This is Not Mine too. And I just wanted to show you the tremendous amount of wastewater on this. Chuck, put the green dye in there so they know it belongs to mine number 2. And then I'm going to show you something about this wastewater. All right, check this wastewater out compared to the clean water. Hey, now this one includes a switch that lets you decrease and increase the wastewater. Chuck, flip the switch so they can see the difference. Check this out. Boom, even more wastewater. You thought it was going to get less, but no. Not even, look at that. Look at that wastewater. All right, Chuck, you take this one. Turn it on low.
We're on low on this one.
All right, ready, go. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop it. Okay, 156. So
Boom, the surprise winner in terms of speed, Not Mine number 2, comes in first for producing the most wastewater for the least clean water in the least amount of time. The exact opposite of what you want.
we're gonna set up next for my machine, the Ultimate RO, and I'm gonna blow these other 2 machines out of the water for less money. We'll be right back.
But before I show you how my Ultimate RO machine punishes the competition, I just wanted to go over nutrients and ppm with you one more time, because I don't want you to think that I don't think nutrients aren't important. I want you to understand that nutrients are salt, and that too much salt is a problem for the plant and negatively affects yields. And that's why RO machines are so important. Look at this graph. If you've got tap water at 500 ppm, all of it's poison. So if you've got a plant that wants 250 ppm like these, and you feed it 750 ppm because you added nutrients on top of that poison, you're at 3 times the amount of ppm the plant wants, and 500 of that is poison from your tap. That's why the number one problem that comes through my store and calls my helpline is about too many nutrients. Now let's get back to the competition.
All right, now you've seen the other two. Now this is my machine. This is the Grow Boss Ultimate RO, and you can buy it and own it for yourself. So let's hold these two up, Chuck. And what's the first thing that you notice?
I noticed that there's hardly any wastewater.
There's hardly any wastewater. That's right. Look at that. There's hardly any wastewater. All right, let's put some food coloring in these so you know it's from the Ultimate RO and not from one of my competitions, one of my competitors. The little blue food coloring. All right.
I also want to point out that the other competitors use a 3/8 inch supply line. We use a 1/4 inch supply line.
That's right, a 1/4 inch. All right, you ready, Chuck?
I am ready.
All right, 1, 2, 3. There you go. All right, so in a couple minutes, we'll know who makes the most water, who most clean water, who makes the most wastewater, who makes the least wastewater. Whenever you set up a new RO machine, always push all the connectors in. Make sure that they're all snug, every one of them. The last thing you want is a leak 10, 15, 20 minutes after you set up the RO machine. It'll just gush everywhere. It'll go right through the floors. Look at that, that wastewater almost looks like the clean water. And why is that? It's because I looked at all the other RO machines on the market and they're built for home use. They're not set up for us. So I took a blank machine and I kind of just hot rodded it. I set it up for us. All right, we're coming up on just to stop it, just to compare. All right, let's take it out. We are at 341. So about the same time, 345 as the first one. So in about 3 minutes, 45 seconds.
My Ultimate RO produced the same amount of clean water as the first one, but my machine did it for 1/3 less the wastewater. And while the wastewater may not be something that you think about when you're buying an RO, if you're going to grow weed, and especially if you're going to grow in hydroponics, you better be sure of the wastewater, because the Ultimate RO was the only one you saw today that had a 1-to-1 wastewater ratio.
All right, so let's do a little bit of comparison of my Ultimate RO wastewater challenge. All right, this was the first one. This was mine. It made 1.5 liters. The ppms are about 19. The pH is 7.5. This is mine too, the second one that's not mine. This one made 1 liter, and even though it looks like less, it made about the same amount of water in the same time. We just stopped it because it made so much wastewater. The pH is also 7.5, and the ppms are 21. Now this is mine. This is the Ultimate RO water. All right, this made 1.5 liters and clean water, and it only made 1.5 liters waste. Now my water, the ppm is 30.
And it really doesn't matter if your RO machine takes the water down to 20 or 30 or 40 or 50. Think about it. We started with 550 ppm of poison tap water, and now it's down to 50. And now we can use that same 500 ppm to add good stuff like nutrients.
All right, I'm the Grow Boss.
And I'm Chuck.
And thanks for watching the RO Wastewater Challenge. Now remember, you can buy my machines in the 100 and 150 gallons.
And the 200 and 300 gallons.
Per day machines. That's right. Also, if you're off city and you're on a well, you can get my Well Water 2000 RO machine also, right?
want to know more about RO systems, you need to pick up the Grow Book and Equipment Guide and turn to page 84, and you'll know everything you need to know about RO systems.